It is February the 4th. It's currently 9:50. Recording this video to capture some of the intraday action and lessons that will be learned in this trading session. So, interesting day so far. We had the indices gap down slightly, roughly about 0.5%, so nothing major. VIX popped up the opposite way, and we had a bunch of materials stocks pop up this morning. So you've had that on my watch list as we've seen a number of materials, so basic materials, the basic materials sector actually popping a bit. And so the one that I'm long right now is BHP. So let's just just find that on my watch list here. You can see on the left hand side of my watch list we have a number of basic materials names that have popped up, even some oil names. If you take a look there on the left hand side, MT, Tecaminco X, so U.S. Steel, Rio Tinto, and you have a number of gold and silver names in there. And I'd like to choose BHP. We had a classic early bird setup on that one, and got long on the early bird trade here on increasing volume. So we saw, I see some participation here. All right, so we see a big wide range bar, participants stepping in. This is my actual message bar. I entered on that bar there at 22.71. Stop right now is at 22.58, so I've already moved it up to -1R. So the most I'm risking on this trade is -1R, and we're up about 1.5R right now. So once it hits 22.96, I'll adjust my stops again and begin to trail. Now let's look at the broader markets here. So the ES, and I'll just take a step back and we'll look at the bigger time frame on the 15-minute chart. Sorry, I'm zooming out too far there. We had a small gap down, as I mentioned already, right into yesterday's opening range low. So that acted as a natural level of support, and of course into these moving averages. So that's also another level of support. Another level of support, if you draw the Fibonacci's, and I did that earlier, and was drawing yesterday's range, we actually opened up, came down in, and bounced right off of the 38.2 retracement. So we have a lot of buyers interested in this level because there's a number of confluences supporting that area there. So we had some buyers step in and buy that bit of a dip. So let's see now if the ES can retake this high, 1912. That would be I think the expectation would be, if the mood's going to go up, it's going to get at least up to 1912. Otherwise, if it fails to do that, then we should expect to see some selling. Okay, so I'm just going to adjust my levels there. 1912 on the dot. Now on the VIX, let's take a look at the longer time frame on the 15-minute chart. Again, same picture, right? So today we popped up, gapped up a bit right into yesterday's opening range high. There's a bunch of noise here, right? This is actually quite a decent level of resistance right now, and it will require quite a bit of buying power to get through this chop that was created yesterday. So this would be, I think, would be difficult for the VIX to pop through this today. It would have to be done on quite a bit of buying power to get through that mess there. So not a really strong level of resistance, but certainly enough where it's going to slow things down. It's not going to, just march through it easily. So back to our BHP position here. So let's flip back now for a second. Back to BHP. We get quite a few gappers this morning, so having to be very selective with my setups. That's now hit +2R. Actually, it's closing out on the +3R. So I'm actually going to adjust my stops here. I'm going to trail to +1R. So the most I'm going to lose now on this trade, or actually the most I'm going to stand to gain on this trade, is +1R. Did I say that right? No. The least I stand to gain on this trade is +1R. So just adjust that right now while we're chatting. 22.83. Alright, so stop has now been trailed. The other thing I really like about BHP is that on the daily time frame, there's actually a unfilled gap all the way up at 23.76, which would put it way up here. So that is somewhat of a magnet. It's pretty far away right now, so I'm not saying it's a strong magnet, but certainly an interesting area to watch over the next couple of sessions to see if it's an area that we can reach. But right now you can see the buyers are really stepping in here, and I would expect this BHP to move higher. So at this point here, BHP, the only thing here is that, we have a bit of a, I always bring this back to this is getting a little bit overheated here, so that it's getting kind of far away from its 5-period moving average. So it either needs to consolidate through time, or it needs to just keep on moving. Otherwise, the consequence is that if it doesn't do one of those two things, i.e. consolidate sideways or continue to move higher, it's probably going to dip back down into here again before it can potentially go up higher. So that's the scenarios. Those are the scenarios I'm looking at. It needs to do one of those three things: consolidate sideways, continue to move higher, or it'll come back in here into these levels of resistance. Support, I mean. Alright, so 9:56, got factory orders coming out at 10 o'clock. Let's see how the market reacts to that. But right now I think the overall expectations of the market moves up a bit higher here. Because we have, again, some of those things I talked about already, as well as unfilled gap here higher up on the ES. 9:56. 10:06, quick update. BHP is still working in our favor. It's now running up and getting close to plus 4R. So I've adjusted my risk already. The least I'm going to capture on this trade is at least plus 2R, because I've moved my stop up to 22.96. What's it? There we go. Just hit plus 4R. That means now the least we're going to gain on this trade is going to be plus 3R. So adjusting my stop to 23.09. So this trade has worked out fairly quickly, in fairly quick order, which is always nice. So this is the premise again is that we had a number of basic material names really moving quickly right from the get-go. A couple of gappers. Take a look at Rio Tinto, for instance. Let's just take a look at Rio Tinto for a second. You got the exact same kind of pattern, right? And in the exact same extension in terms of the the actual risk to rewards. It's nearly the exact same trade on Rio and in BHP. I liked the BHP profile a little bit more just because I liked some of the volume that was picking up early on. That's why I elected to go with BHP. But either trade, these two pairs would have worked. So that Rio's trade would have been up about plus 3.5R at this point. The BHP trade is up 4R at this point, so a little higher. And we had news. The factory orders come out just about 7 minutes ago, and that moved the markets a little bit, but not that much. So the ES is still in this kind of choppy range for the day, and the news actually took it right down to its opening range low, right there, right, and then it found support, and then it's launched off again back to its close to its intraday highs. The VX again looked like it was going to break out, but we said before it has a bit of resistance above it, so it did a little bit of a spiky move here up to the upside, and then it kind of got stuck at the previous highs, and then it's since then come back down again. So on the bigger picture, and I think is always helpful. We have a lot of resistance for the VIX here today. We got this opening range high from yesterday's session that acted as support. We have these downtrending moving averages. So there's a lot against the VIX at this point, and you really have to show some real strength before it can go higher. So the expectation today will be that in the short term, maybe from the morning sessions, that it continues to go a bit lower. But again, it's still an inside day here, inside its channel. So it's really a choppy day for VIX traders and even S&P or index traders. It's kind of a choppy day so far, but we're consolidating here right around the opening range low. This is very, very productive. If it can break out of the opening range high after some consolidation, we definitely expect this thing to go higher, maybe to 1924, which would be a logical target, if not even higher up here. So back to our BHP just to see how BHP is doing. And as you mentioned before, this it's broken above its opening range high now, the 30-minute opening range high. That's great. And it's getting a little extended, right? So if it pushes even higher here at this pace, it's going to get overbought, and we definitely need to see some productive consolidation in order for this thing to move higher. Otherwise, it'll be a blow off because it'll be too parabolic. So right now, you know, it's getting close to plus 5R in this trade. We're at, so I'm going to lock in plus 4R, right? So there we go. Hit plus, well, I'll get ready to lock in plus 4R. It's not there yet. But once it hits 23.35, we'll lock in plus 4R. Okay, 10.10. Quick update on the BHP trade. It's now 10.14. I got stopped out for plus 4R, so hit our plus 5R there. It came back in to the plus 4R target. That's why I trailed my stop, and I'm out for plus 4. So, good trade. I think there's a possibility that it goes higher. By this point here, it's getting a little bit toppy, as I mentioned before. It's kind of run up quickly, so I expect it to see, you know, so either it needs some consolidation, but at this point, you know, expect it to go higher even, because, yeah, there's really a lot of strength behind the basic material names today. If you take a look now at our S&P, very productive there, right? So now I just broke through the opening range. There's the 1912 we talked about on the ES, so you know, it pushed right into yesterday's highs, and they're pushing through it, so that's very good for the buyers. That's kind of what we said was likely to happen there. And the VIX is, you know, punished, and it's pushed down. And this is you know, I just drew this line. I don't know if I showed it in my last update, but that is actually an unfilled gap from yesterday's session. So right into that gap fill, and you know, that's the name of the game right there, right? Gap fills. So pretty easy trading so far today. Definitely the basic materials sector, as well as gold and silver, are looking pretty good today. So let's keep an eye on it. I think it's going to be more entries. We just need to wait for some of these names now to kind of consolidate a bit, because I'm looking at like Nugget here, the NUGT ETF, and you know, it's gone a little far here, right? So it needs a bit of time to consolidate, and perhaps give us a low risk entry to get in and look for another opportunity. Let's take a look really quickly at silver. Yeah, PAAS, good silver name. And I want to look at Rio Tinto one more time. And Rio Tinto looks a lot like BHP there, where it's really run up nicely. Okay, so it is 10:16. I'm going to stop the video now, and then add some updates if anything pertinent shows up. Final update on BHP. Just want to give the final update on BHP after the market closed here. So after we got stopped out at what is it, around what was that for? We got stopped out at 4R right here at 23.22. The market consolidated a bit and then just rocketed higher in one straight shot. And then it ended up hitting exactly the target we had specified earlier. Remember that we had the unfilled gap at 23.76. The market went to 23.78. That was again a picture perfect read on that particular play. Unfortunately, we got stopped out on this a bit of wiggle here. You know, had it not touched the 5R target by 1 penny, a couple pennies, it wouldn't have, you know, stopped us out here. But it is how it is. We caught 4R out of a, you know, that's an 8R trade. So we caught about, you know, half of that, and you know, that's pretty much, you know, home run in terms of a trade, because we took no risk at all. So we felt next to no drawdown on that trade. So you know, it's an exceptional trade. Obviously, there's things you can try to learn from something like this, like the option to re-enter. At that point, you know, we had called the fact that it was getting parabolic, but as you can see here, we had a good upside run there, and then once it got to that top side, then we had some strong selling pressure begin to step in here, right? So we can begin to see here, as selling pressure begins to mount, volume actually begins to decrease. So at the bottom here, we're drawing in our drawing down the volume. The volume begins to decrease, and you know, the selling pressure increases. So that's kind of a hint for you to begin to get out early. Otherwise, you know, that's why we have trailing stops. Sometimes you're going to get these moves, and sometimes you're not, right? So sometimes it's a game of inches, and sometimes you get to stay in these trades, and other times you don't. But the key thing is that we're making the right decisions, finding the plays that are in play for that day, and then, you know, capturing some good trades based upon solid risk to reward profiles. Hope that helps.